because wars are very profitable to certain big businesses. And of course, big business needs to be in the Middle East so that we can get the oil out of the Middle East, so we can get the lithium out of Afghanistan. You know, they discovered a vein of lithium there they say is worth $1 trillion. Well, what is lithium used for? Every cell phone, computer, and soon to be electric cars. Let's talk about why we're really there. We're not there. How does any of these wars affect our freedom in any way? The United States is not in any threat. They're not going to do a Normandy invasion on us, Al-Qaeda in Virginia.
No, but hang on, you're being slightly naive, aren't you? Because
I'm not being naive, sir.
I think you are being naive.
No.
Because I think that it's clear one of the main reasons that America went into Afghanistan was to try and get Al-Qaeda dismantled, the organization which committed the 9/11 atrocity.
Really?
Well, you don't think so?
Well, how come Al-Qaeda put the heroin business out? They took all the poppy growers and stopped the production of heroin.
What would you have done?
Wait, now how much of that illegal heroin was propping up the international banks with laundered money, and when it dried up, the first recession happened? Well, now that we're back in there, we aligned with the poppy growers, and the heroin business is back up full swing again. I thought we fight a war on drugs here.
All right, Jesse,
we're not.
What would you have done on September the 12th, 2001? What would you have done if you'd been president?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald? How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have stopped them beforehand if they were identified and we knew who they were?
It was a failure of intelligence. Everyone's accepted
No, it
that.
wasn't. We knew before with Condoleezza Rice's memo on August 6th when it stated right in the memo, bin Laden to steal planes and run them into buildings. And more stuff is coming out now also, how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
Oh, come off it, Jesse.
No, not oh, come off it. Wait a minute.
No.
Every war fought starts with a false flag operation.
You can't, in all seriousness, sit there and try and make out anybody.
Okay, let me ask you this, Piers. Wait a minute. Let me ask you something. How much studying have you actually done of 9/11 other than what the government's told you and what mainstream media has told you? I've been studying it 4 years.
I was editor of a national newspaper.
I've talked to people. Wait a minute.
Depth every day for 5-6 months.
Really?
So I know a lot about it.
Well,
and one
then
thing I do know is,
let me ask you this then.
You cannot say that any member of the Bush administration knew it was going to happen or wanted it to happen. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about your BBC. I have a tape of a BBC reporter broadcasting directly back to England talking about a third building has collapsed. World Trade Center Building 7 talks for 7 minutes. All the while she's talking, World Trade Center Building 7 is still standing right behind her. It didn't fall for another half hour, yet they were doing a pre-broadcast back to England that, yes, it's true,
you need to
that this building fell and it hadn't fallen yet.
If you're trying to make out the British Broadcasting Company, one of the most respected news organisations in the world, was inventing huge buildings falling over, you need to have a break, Jesse. We'll come back after the break and we'll talk about Israel and Iran.
Are you kidding me? This is a fact, my friend.
Back to Jesse Ventura live along with our studio audience. We left a fairly heated debate about various theories that you have about 9/11 and so on. Let's move on to...
Oh, and the government only has a theory.
Right, well, the government has
No, this is a theory. Their theory is 19 Islamic radicals armed with box cutters defeated our multi-billion-dollar air defense system, all while conspiring with a bearded guy in a cave in Afghanistan.
That is exactly what happened.
That's their theory.
No, that's not a theory. It's a fact.
That's their theory.
No, Jesse,
that's
it's
a fact.
That's what happened.
Really?
Yes, I'm sorry to kill your conspiracy theories, but that is what happened.
Then why haven't anyone been brought up for trial?
Because they
haven't given one shred of evidence in a trial.
In case you missed the story.
Well, then what do we got all these guys in Gitmo for? And we got the supposed confessor to it, who they waterboarded 180 times to get the confession. Got news for you, Piers. If they waterboarded you 180 times, you'd confess to it.
You see, now you're missing the point. On that very point, I don't agree with Guantanamo Bay. I didn't agree with the waterboarding, personally. But let's move on. Let's move on to Iran and Israel. If you were the American president, with all the jungle drums beating now about Iran, would you take any military action? Well,
first, let me state that Iran has to do this. Because if you notice, the United States doesn't mess with any country that's got nuclear capabilities. They only mess with countries that don't. So all countries that don't have it strive to get it because it's a safety mechanism to have it. So, of course, Iran's going to try to get the stuff.
Should they be allowed to have them?
Should they be allowed to? I don't know.
Well, yes or no?
I don't know.
You're a man of opinions.
No, I don't.
You may be running for office. You're entitled to know what you think.
Not right now. You don't. I need to study it more.
How very convenient.
Yes, it is very convenient.
So you know about everything that happened before 9/11, but right now, when you have Iran potentially nuking itself up, you don't have an opinion.
Well, let's leave that up to the nuclear inspectors that go in there. They will tell us whether they're nuking it up before you decide to bomb them.
I didn't decide to bomb anybody.
No, but you seem to be very favorable.
You're trying to put words into my mouth all the time, which is it's not a very good technique when you're debating with somebody. Just stick to facts.
How many political offices have you held?
None.
Then don't tell me how to debate, because I've held 2.
Oh, I've debated many times.
But you've never won an election where a debate was required.
I think you make some very sensible points, and you make some crackpot points.
That's your opinion?
Yes.
How many people here think I make crackpot points?
Yeah.
1. How many think I make sensible points? You're in a minority, my good friend. You're the minority.
I said you made some sensible points. Let's go to another audience question from Jared Grossman. Ask your question, Jared.
Hello, Governor.
Yes.
I'd like to know why you think that politics in America today, why has it become so polarized, and why has it become so hate-driven, and how do you think we can fix that?
Well, politics in America, the major problem is the Democrats and Republicans, as I explain in my book, Democrats and Republicans, No More Gangs in Government, they've created a system based completely on bribery. Now, if we do bribery, it's hypocrisy. If we do bribery in the private sector, we go to jail. Yet their entire political system is based upon bribery. Who can bribe and give the most money to the politician? And now, thanks to our illustrious Supreme Court that ruled that corporations have the same rights as individuals and that money is free speech, well, we're now being inundated with so much money from the corporations buying the Democrats and Republicans, both sides, that look at this hypothetically. A foreign country could now control our elections because all they would have to do is form a corporation, start pumping money into the super PACs, plus there's no, they don't have to say where the money comes from, which is criminal. Every candidate should have to state openly, open disclosure, where they get every dollar. You're not getting that now. So the whole system is corrupted now. The Democrats and Republicans are at fault because they've been in charge for 150 years. They can't pass the buck on it. And until they clean up the system, that's what you got. It's bribery.
Jesse, I'm shocked. I just agree with every word you just said.
No, you just want to get the crowd back on your side.
Not at all. Not at all. As I said to you, I agree.
I'm teasing you.
I agreed with every word. I think the whole super PAC thing is completely out of control.
No,
and you're right. In the end, China right now could finance a run for the presidential election with one of their sponsored people from one of their companies. It's completely ridiculous.
I think that this ruling could be the downfall of our country. And the only way we can stop it is to amend the Constitution.
Yeah,
That's
agree.
the only way you can overrule the Supreme Court, and we need to do that.
Let's take a break, Jesse.
Okay.
We'll come back and talk about Clint Eastwood, the empty chair, and gun control.